Hello and welcome to Crafting Unedited. My name is Sierra and today we are going to be sublimating on I lost it for a second, frosted mug. So these are super popular and they're really cool. And I did do a frosted mason jar a while back, but this is just the classic frosted mug. Some people use them for like candle holders, some people drink out of them. I'm gonna be using mine for drinks. So frosted mug, 16 ounce, and this is from Heat Transfer Warehouse. They do have the ombre ones and they do have the ones with the bamboo lids if that's what you were looking for. Go ahead and hop on there and get you those. I'll make sure to drop a link in the description for you. The image that I'm going to be using is from Design Bundles today and I'm really excited. It's like a stained glass, which is really cool. See? This was originally going to be put on a 40 ounce Stanley style cup, but I decided against that and went with something else. So we're gonna use this for this. Ironically, it kind of fits almost perfectly, but perfectly enough that it's gonna work because it's just shy of being tall enough. But if you look, it's right where it curves. It's gonna work perfectly. I'm really excited. So what we're gonna want to do first is get a rubbing alcohol wipe or just something with some rubbing alcohol on it and wipe it down real good on the outside of the cup before we put our image on there. The reason we do this is to prep the cup and to get any debris, oil, anything that might have gotten on there from my fingers. Goofy self put on some lotion before I decided to touch this. So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and clean that. The alcohol pipe wipes that I use are actually for like, they're in the Band-Aid aisle. I get them like this so that I don't have to continue like unwrap them every time. And then most of the time what I'll do is, don't fall. This comes in like this big old long sheet here. We don't need this much. We need like half of this. So I'll either rip it or cut it, depending on where my scissors are. Nowhere to be found right now. So I'll just rip it down. And we'll use this much and put the rest back in the container so it can be used for another project. So like I said, we're just gonna get a nice wiping of the outside, and I actually really like this because you can tell where you've wiped and where you haven't. Get all oils, anything that might be on there off. Give it a good wipe. And then we're gonna let that dry. And as we let that dry, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the edges of my image and tape it on there, and then I'll move you guys over to the heat press so that you can see what I'm doing and not the back of my head. All right, so let's go ahead and get that image cut out. Meet you over at the press. All right, so we've got our mug kind of taped. So what I did, it was a little too tall, but it's gonna kind of curve onto that little part right there. And I wanted to see what happens. So I did go ahead and tape the whole bottom here. And then along the seam, it is a little too long as well. So we're gonna go ahead and do this and see what happens, because even though it doesn't cost much to print one of these sheets, I hate wasting them, especially when they're so pretty. So, like I said, this was originally for a 40 ounce tumbler and I had already printed it before I changed my mind. Thank you, ADHD. But I didn't want to waste it because it's so beautiful. Anyways, we're gonna try and make this work, see what happens. So I taped around the edges here and you can see that there is a bit of an overlap here. I'm gonna see if I can get my press to like kind of go around it and just press randomly. We'll see. My press is set for 400 degrees. It is the 8-in-1 heat press, so the attachment is right here. And it's not quite wide enough or long enough for this guy, so I might have to do a couple of passes. But we're gonna shoot for the stars here. All right, so we've got our parchment paper. I just use Costco parchment paper. Nothing fancy, nothing bougie going on there. I always get really nervous when pressing glass for whatever reason. So we're gonna make sure that the press goes all the way to the bottom of the glass here. And then we're gonna close it up and tighten it down. I should have done this before I put it in there, but that is quite all right. I'll just have to make sure to like shift it because it is already hot. And what I mean by shift it is because I did already put the cup in there, part of it's already gonna be like sublimating. I think this has to be closed all the way. Did a little, not enough prep work here. I forgot about this part. All right, that should be good. Go ahead and carefully slide that back in there without burning my fingers. There we go. And now it's a little too much. All right. I usually measure the pressing the sleeve ahead of time. And I don't want it to be too tight because with the glass, it scares me. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start, and I'm gonna keep an eye on the clock. I'm gonna do about 30 seconds, open it up, shimmy it around, 30 seconds, open it up, shimmy it around, and do that a couple of times. Am I gonna get an even press? Yes, I've done this many of times using this heat press with the bigger cups, and it mostly works. I don't feel like buying a sublimation oven just yet or a tumbler press just yet because I don't really do enough of these to justify that. So yeah, maybe one day I'll get there. All right, it's a little over 30 seconds on that. I'm gonna open it up all the way. Turn it as much as I can without running out of parchment paper. Give it another good pressing for less time this time. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to overheat it. And I know you're talking to the bottom half of my head, but in order for you to see this, it's got to be done there. So you don't want to burn it. You don't want to overcook it because you will get browning and yellow marking. And unlike a shirt, you can't just spray some peroxide on a cup and it'll disappear. It doesn't work like that. All right, so another 30 seconds, and I'm actually gonna move it down this time because I can see where it did not press. I'd pick it up and show you that, but I can't because it's hot. So basically, what you want to look for to make sure if you're using this method and a press similar to this one, when you're pressing and you look at your finished product, you'll see where the ink has processed a little bit through the paper, and that's where it has been pressed and that's where enough heat has been applied. If it kind of does that a little bit and then fades up into you can't see the image at all through the back side of the paper, that's when you know that part wasn't pressed properly and you want to go back and give it a little bit more love. We're getting there, we're getting there. I'm starting to see the whole image all the way around this guy. Now I gotta figure out what the heck I'm gonna use to pick this up with. I forgot my pot holder. Crapola. Grandpa's handkerchiefs that I'm going to be sublimating on soon. I keep forgetting, and my ink actually, or my printer actually ran out of ink as well, so. All right, so we're gonna slide this out. So I did get a little bit of burning, which I kind of expected. Hopefully it doesn't go through too bad on the thing itself. But as you can see, ooh, that's hot. Need 2 of these guys. All right, so as you can see the image through the paper, whereas before, you can't really see it, right? That's how you know it's got a decent press. And so what I do before I take the paper off is I just give it a good once over, make sure that it's pretty even. You can see right here where it's yellow brown, and that's the part that was cooked a little too long. Hopefully not too bad. All right, it does look like it has an even press, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the paper after I shut my press off. I don't like leaving it on if it's not being used. That should be a universal thing. Also, a little hack here. And you can't always do this, but because I have this extra right here, I'm gonna have a pull tab kind of deal to pull off my image here. Or not, it's stuck. I typically try to get the tape to like overlap each other so that it comes off a little easier. That doesn't always happen, because sometimes I forget. And sometimes I'm just too excited to get started. Anyone else get like that? They're so excited to try something, and then they just forget half the stuff. Oh, it's so pretty. That turned out so freaking cool. Hold on, guys. Ow! And I can't like pick it up. Just the handkerchiefs, because they are polyester, so the image will transfer over. And I'll pop you up in just a second. But so far, you can see my seam where I didn't connect it, like so that it looks seamless, which is totally fine. But I did pretty darn good on that. Look at that. You know, the secret is to overlapping the paper if you don't want to have like a clear line. All right, so a couple of things that I want to point out after it cools, but in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and move you up just a slight. All right, not quite completely cooled, but cooled enough that nothing's gonna transfer over onto the handkerchief. So, the first thing that I want to point out is, so I kind of noticed that my press, the sleeve of the press, like the actual hot part, was kind of like off center. It's not straight. So because of that, I ended up with like this kind of unevenness here and missing this part, which I'm not overly concerned with. It's a cup for me. No big deal. But you should probably look at that if you have the same type of press. Make sure that the heating element, that's what it's called, is straight and center and the way that it should be. But it's for me. I don't care. I will go ahead and fix that when I finished here though. But the other thing that I did want to point out as well is, like I said, that beautiful seam It's great. Just overlap the paper. If you're wanting a seamless image and you've got like a wraparound and you have the same kind of pattern going on, depends on what kind of pattern it is. Like obviously this didn't work that way, but if you're just doing like polka dots or something, you can always cut around and just overlap the seam and then tape over it. It works. If you can understand what I was trying to say there. The other thing that I want to point out is, you remember how I had that like kind of cap on here? Well, it did transfer ever so slightly. I don't know if you can see it, but in some places, like right here, you can see where the ripple had pushed in a little bit further. Like I said, it's for me. Other than these two spots, that's really it. And honestly, you can't see it from here. It's so pretty though. Look at how pretty that is. I just love it. And you cannot see, I'm just like glancing one more time to see if we can see the burn. You can't. So it would have been like right here where this greenish color is, but it's not there. And you know what? This would be really pretty with a candle inside, like a tea light. I would show you using my phone, but guess what? I'm recording on my phone, so that doesn't work out very well. I did have one of those like lighter thingies in here. Anyway, I don't know where that went. I should probably find that. Oh well. Anyway, so you can kind of tell what it would look like with a light inside. I was trying to like put it up to the light over here. It's not working very well though. I want to show you how pretty it will be with a light inside, but I cannot find one. De-dum. Hold please. I did have a lighter in here. I don't know where I did with it. There it is. All right, so nope, doesn't work. It's just this little flame here. Nope, doesn't get any bigger. It's a bummer. Anyways, I'm sure that you can tell how gorgeous this would be with light inside. I mean, look at that. Look at the detail. That's so cool. My new favorite thing. Sublimate on frosted glasses with a stained glass image. Super excited. Anyways, that's what I wanted to show you guys, how to sublimate on these frosted mugs. Tips of advice, make sure it's the right size. Heat Transfer Warehouse, when you buy these, when you go to the link that I'm going to put in the description here, there is a template on sizing. Obviously, I didn't use that one, and obviously I knew what I was going into. So use the template, get the sizing right, unless you want to have that shadow. I really do like this shadow on this side. Same here. I just wish I would have gone a little bit further down. And just make sure that you follow that template, tape it up right, do a little bit longer and get that seam proper, and you'll be fine. It's definitely gorgeous. I'll also link the image on there from Design Bundles as well. So that's really all I got for you, how to sublimate the frosted glass using a stained glass template. Temperature is 400 degrees, time was 60 seconds roughly, with the shimmying of my makeshift tumbler press. So until next time, guys, happy crafting. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. Got any tips or comments for me? Want to learn something else? Let me know. Be happy to try it for you. Until next time, happy crafting.